Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Height, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hunt. Welcome back to the Baseball Hut, and hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. As you know, more rumors are coming out today. If you don't know, one of the things we heard is that, this one, a rumor I guess, is that Pete Alonso met with the Angels. I'm going to say this again. Pete goes to the Angels. Not going to make the playoffs. That is a dead end. That is a dead end for any player. I hope he enjoys playing with Anthony Rendon, who doesn't care about baseball. Hope he enjoys playing with Mike Trout, who doesn't play. They have some young players that play on that team, but they have no farm system because they don't let them develop in the minor leagues. Their ownership sucks, and Pete goes there. It's not our problem. And he won't go to the postseason again. And he will be basically in anonymity. Now, before you end this video, you need to hit the subscribe button. If you're a returning viewer, hit the subscribe button. If you are a new viewer, please hit the subscribe button. And, of course, I thank all the people that watch all the time. And the membership's a great way to support the channel. I'm trying to get a new computer for the channel. We're about a third of the way there. In terms of memberships, the membership fee goes directly into getting the computer where I can pay for every month. But the Mets have everything on the table. All options are on the table. One of the things the Mets have told Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos, hey, you guys better learn how to play first. You better play first because you're probably going to be playing it, both of you. Which is not a bad idea to put Brett Beatty there. You know, he's got to hit, though. He has got to hit. I'm going to say this again. If Pete goes, Beatty has to hit. None of this nonsense. The back can't catch up. He's got to hit. He's got to produce. Time is now. Time is now. Let me read you from SI.com. Pete Alonso met with the Angels. Mets considering external first base options. We got a name that has popped up, and he's a young player. According to sources, free agent first baseman Pete Alonso met with the Angels on Thursday. Mets are considering another external option to replace him. Another team has entered the group chat sweepstakes. Free agent first baseman Pete Alonso in his camp after the Los Angeles Angels on Thursday, as multiple sources told Mets on SI. Again, he goes there, folks, and he will be irrelevant to baseball. He might make the All-Star team a couple of times. I hit 400 home runs, 500 home runs with them, but he won't play in any big games there. You know, he just won't. You know, I mean, they just won't. Now, we know about the whole situation with the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are in better shape because they're Toronto, and they do a better job of, it's a better organization. They develop players much better than the Angels do. Their ownership is much better. Their front office is really good. Mark Shapiro is the head of that situation there, and you know, it's just a better organization all the way around. They got a terrible organization franchise in Los Angeles with the Angels. Artie Moreno, who's the owner, is a terrible owner. But if Pete goes there, oh well. So let's look at some other options. And we talked about this before. I mentioned Beatty to first and Vientos to first. Continue on with this article. The Mets could very well move Mark Vientos to first. And if they don't go with Brett Beatty or Ryan Mauricio at third base, Mauricio would mention is behind his rehab from his ACL because he tore that last year in the offseason on the Dominican Winter League. He's behind. He's not going to be ready for spring training. Jeff McNeil is a name the writer has heard as a possibility to move back to the hot corner where he saw sometime in 2019-2020. But that would also depend on Luis Angel Acuna winning the second base job outright. An impressive showing in spring training. A couple of suggestions. People have been saying the Mets have 3 holes in the infield, and they don't. They have one that they have to fill and figure out what to do with the other. Brett Beatty might be the better option at first base. That way you don't have 2 guys trying to learn 2 different positions, or one guy learning a position and the other guy. See, I'd rather keep. My opinion is I'd rather keep Mark Vientos there because his value would be extremely high playing third than at first. And he can make an all-star team with the numbers that he put up last year. And Jeff McNeil is untradeable. The contract is untradeable. That's where a lot of this stuff with Pete is building. You can't give these guys that are in their 30s these long-term deals. And that's what Stearns understands. You give a long-term deal to a guy like 26 years old and Juan Soto, but you don't do that for guys that are older. Also, a lot of things, a couple other things, just so I remember and not forget to tell you. Jose Iglesias. Now, Iglesias is a free agent, but he's 35 years old. Would you rather see Luis Angel Acuna be the backup shortstop on this team and play pretty much every day, or do you want to see Jose Iglesias back as the backup, and he takes time away from younger players? I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to see that. That's for sure. Now, they mentioned this external idea. And this is a player from another team. And the article goes, as for external options, one first base fit the Mets are considered as a trade. Former number 1 overall draft pick Spencer Torkelson. The 25-year-old righty bat is coming off a poor 2024 campaign, and there's currently no path for him to play every day as the Detroit Tigers signed second baseman Gleyber Torres and plan to move Colt Keith to first base. Torkelson did crush 31 homers and drive in 94 runs batted in Detroit in 2023. That ceiling is the closest the Mets can get to replacing Alonso's 34 homers from last season. And keep in mind, they did essentially swap Alonso for Juan Soto, who went deep 41 times last year as well. Torkelson has 4 more years of team control and is the type of player that would seemingly fit the mold of David Stearns' philosophy on player acquisition. Torkelson also brings solid defense at first and will allow the Angels to continue growing at third base. Time will tell, but it's still looking like a reality that breakup between the Mets and Pete Alonso is on the horizon. Now, I had mentioned that tomorrow on Saturday, we're going to have an amazing day at Citi Field. I might be able to go because your host forgot about it. I forgot to get tickets for it. And when I decided to get tickets for it, they were all sold out. But that was a big day. That's noon, high noon, and high noon is about to hit tomorrow. And now I don't expect Pete Alonso to be with the Mets. I was talking a lot about that last week. First person to ever mention it, any YouTuber mentioned it, and the Mets they're going to move on. And I think part of it is I mentioned this. I think I mentioned in other videos is that David Stearns does not like giving contracts to guys that he doesn't think their value is nearly as good after he gives them the contract. He was a general manager in Milwaukee, and Josh Hader was another year away from him being a free agent. So he had another year of free agency, another year to play on his contract, and he traded him to San Diego, and that completely wrecked the Milwaukee Brewers season in 2022. But the last 2 years, they've been to the postseason. They finished in first because he wanted to move the guy and get the most value for him. Now, if you look at his numbers since he left the Milwaukee Brewers, this is a hater. His numbers aren't nearly as strong. They were terrible in the second half of 2022 because he didn't want to get traded to Milwaukee. He was very uptight. But the numbers have not been nearly as good. So Pete Alonso, he's looking at Pete in a very objective way. The numbers are starting to decline. Also, I had mentioned, this is not about ego. I've heard nothing but great things about David Stearns. So many people online are really ripping into him. People that don't know what they're talking about. People that always get it wrong. I'm going to bring up something that's very important, and this is for next year. We're going to have another battle like this next year. At the end of this season, 2025, Edwin Diaz has an opt-out in his contract. If Edwin has a big year, which is great, in my view, he's the most important Met the Mets have. If he has a big season this year, he's going to opt out of that contract. And if there's going to be some kind of contract negotiations between the two of them, between Diaz and Stearns, unless the family tells Stearns to bring him back, Stearns is not going to give him a long-term deal. He's 30. He's going to be 31 years old this year. I don't see the Mets signing him to a 5-year contract. So if he opts out, and there's a good possibility he opts out, Stearns will not do that. And that's down the road, but I'm just bringing that up. Now to go back to Torkelson. He's 25 years old. He's only played in the big leagues 3 years. His numbers aren't that great. He's a 230-something hitter. According to this, he's a solid first baseman, but he does have power, and he's right-handed. The Mets need that balance in the line. They need a big right-handed bat that can hit for home runs. And he'll be cheap. A lot of it will have to do with who could they trade to the Tigers. The Tigers are a good team. They've come out of the abyss that they were in, and they made postseason this last year. So they're an interesting team, and they have nowhere to play him. But he has a good pedigree, so he has a chance to be a good player anywhere. Well, I like to give you sort of heads up on what to expect. So you've been supporting this channel. You know I always give you a heads up on things. This thing with Edwin Diaz is the next big fight, where people be pissing and bitching and moaning about David Stearns not knowing what he's doing. Last year the Mets don't know what they're doing. David Stearns is running the ball club into the ground. He's not signing anybody. This year they signed Soto. I had some fool tell me that David Stearns was forced to sign Juan Soto. Forced. Crazy talk. Crazy town. If you're the boss, who's forcing you to do something? It's just crazy. And for many years, these are the same people that complained about the Wilpons, the same people that complained about whoever's running the ball club, always complained about the manager. And I will have a WFAN video this weekend that is quite amusing in a lot of ways. So thank you for watching this video. And of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.